Welcome back to the 7th of my 10 channels of startup fundraising, which is crowdfunding, my favorite of all the channels because of the powerful and immediate platform it gives to the smallest of startups. And the goal of this video is to help you to understand how to create a successful crowdfunding campaign. This is important because of how crowdfunding platforms, if used well, can really raise your profile and may even allow you to overfund your target. However, the most common responses I get from startup founders to the idea of running a crowdfunding campaign are, it's too expensive, my startup is not suitable, it will put off other investors, it will take too long, I haven't raised enough to be accepted onto a platform, I don't know how to run a crowdfunding campaign. Now, while all of these points may seem valid, they're most likely wrong, as crowdfunding has really boomed across all sectors in recent years, and many sophisticated investors now see crowdfunding as a smart way to close out the round. It won't take any longer than your current fundraising efforts, you typically won't pay any fees until you receive the funding, and by planning to run a crowdfunding campaign, you can actually increase your chances of raising enough to be accepted onto the platform, something I'll cover a bit later on. And we'll go through a more detailed planning strategy in the resources document at the end of this lesson, but for now consider that you'll be building on the toolkit that we covered in the first part of this course, your pitch deck, social media and website, and you'll need to add email marketing and other digital marketing channels, including press releases, podcasts and a polished campaign video. And this is all designed to engage your audience and grow that audience from the people closest to you to the people less close and increasingly beyond your scope of existing contacts. But before we get into the details, let's just quickly review why you should be consider and running a crowdfunding campaign. Now, the reason for doing this is that you're trying to create what is called a positive feedback loop. Now, what is a positive feedback loop? Well, think of yourself as this guy here at the start of your fundraising journey as someone on a field dancing all by yourself. Then one person comes to dance with you, and maybe that person is known to you already, and you're suddenly doubling the number of people dancing on a lonely field. This will then make it easier to attract a third, fourth and fifth person to come and dance with you, and now you're suddenly a bunch of people dancing together in a field. This can then spark a following, and before you know it, you're 50 people all dancing together, and what started as one lonely person in a field becomes an almost uncontrollable riot. And this is the positive feedback loop that you want to create, and this is the secret to a successful crowdfunding campaign. Start small, start close, but gradually increase your circle of influence. This will effectively avoid someone who joins the crowd from deciding to leave, as you're effectively saying to them, look, this is already happening. You don't have to invest much to join the party, but the more the people that do, the more that we will all benefit. Now, the most common strategy of crowdfunding is strategy 1, where if you first secure some interest towards your target funding amount before you start a crowdfunding campaign. So if you're looking to raise £150,000 and you've secured commitments of maybe £70,000 to £90,000, perhaps from some of the categories we've already covered in this course, you can try to close out your round through a crowdfunding campaign. Now, this approach works because crowdfunding platforms will typically not allow a startup to be listed unless they have close to around 70% of their target funding committed. But if you're nearer to 30 to 40% of your target committed, then you can consider strategy 2 here, which is to let potential lead investors know who may be sitting on the sidelines that you plan to use a crowdfunding campaign to help close out the round, which may increase the chances of getting funding committed once you achieve the target. Turning a funding round into a campaign will show your potential investors how you will benefit from the free marketing exposure and further momentum that this brings to your business. So if you're struggling to get beyond 30 to 40% of your target, you might want to consider starting to engage both potential investors and crowdfunding platforms and explain to them your strategy to close out your round. And this is often why crowdfunding campaigns typically overfund, which means you can end up raising more than your target amount. Now, in the next section, I will be walking through how I ran my successful crowdfunding campaign so you can prepare, plan, and execute your own campaign and maximize the benefits of this funding channel. And I look forward to seeing you in there.